Hello, my name is Nico Steves. Welcome to this week's installment of Constant Procession. I'd like to thank you for your listening to these weekly Constant Procession podcasts, and also for purchasing plus spreading the word about my book, The Very Fine Light, which is available on Amazon.com. Oh, one other thing. For those of you currently reading my book, please, when you finish it, do go to the book's Amazon.com page and rate it. I have a link at nicosteves.com that will get you to the page on Amazon. For those of you just subscribing to these podcasts, here is a bit of background about my book, The Very Fine Light. The Very Fine Light is a contemporary novel with Christian themes about a village on the verge of bankruptcy, the mayor with a secret, and Randy, a fun-loving co-worker who's always in trouble for telling it like it is. I'm going to depart from specific apparitions of the Virgin Mary to cover a bit of ground surrounding a few saints during the times when the British Isles were exporting the Apostolic Church beliefs into the European continent. This installment is about the fourth member from the English family of the 700s who had 6 saints as members. This was Willibald. It was Saint Willibald who miraculously recovered from the near-death experience at the age of 3. As part of their prayers to God, his parents pledged to place the child into divine service as a monk should he survive. Several years after this experience, his parents, Saint Wuna and Saint Richard of Wessex, sent him to study at the Abbey of Waltham Holy Cross in Essex, just outside of London, under Abbot Egbald and other Christian mentors. Saint Willibald, when he was there, was very serious-minded and purposeful in his studies with respect to learning about the kingdom of God. This youth remained at the monastery until he was 17, but he did not yet wish to become a monk, so the abbot gave him time to think on his decision. While doing so, the young lad determined a desire to make a pilgrimage. It's said that it was he who persuaded his father, Saint Richard, and his older brother, Saint Winebald, to make the pilgrimage together. They left Southampton in the summer of 721 on what was known as a pilgrimage of devotion to the tombs of the apostles in Rome, and hopefully on to the Holy Land. They spent time in France, stopping at many sacred places while on the road. However, Richard fell ill en route, and they took him to Lucca, Italy, where he died. Well, the sudden death of their father, Richard of Wessex, when they were in Italy, was a shock to the two brothers. However, they both understood it was left to them to complete the pilgrimage, and so they headed on to Rome after burying their father in Lucca. The two brothers made it to Rome around 723 and began to study to become monks. At some point, Willibald decided to continue on to the Holy Land, so the brothers separated. Willibald, along with several other Englishmen, traveled via Naples and then through Greece and Cyprus before landing in Syria. They were taken prisoners by Muslim soldiers in the region who took them to be spies. A local merchant helped them, and once they were free, they went on to Damascus and then to the Holy Land. There's a record of their wanderings from holy site to holy site in and around Jerusalem, which took them several years, even going to Egypt to follow in the steps of Jesus while he was on earth. The intrepid pilgrims then spent 2 years in Constantinople, no doubt at the Cathedral of Holy Wisdom or the Hagia Sophia. I can imagine what the thinking of a 25-year-old is like as they face their futures. Of course, I don't mean I know what life was like back then, but rather the challenges someone in their mid-20s becomes more cognizant of as they consider their place within their immediate futures. For Saint Willibald, just coming off the amazing experience within his travels, for seeking out what Christ's life was like, bearing in mind that in the 700 ADs, it was still hundreds and hundreds of years after Christ had walked the earth. So with his mind full from these greatly inspired visits to Christian sites, he made his way back towards Rome and stopped around the year 730 at the Abbey of Monte Cassino, founded by Saint Benedict. He chose to stay at that monastery. He began to live a pious life, following what he had learned during his travels. He spent 10 years there, climbing the ranks to become one of the ablest members in that monastery. He was even given the role of interfacing with people in the outside world. But then the abbot sent him on to Rome in the year 740. Perhaps stories about Saint Willibald's travels had circulated within the Christian religious world, because his uncle, by now the famous Saint Boniface, learned that Willibald was in Rome during one of Saint Boniface's visits. The elder saint sought an audience with Pope Gregory III and requested his relative, Willibald, be allowed to come to Germania and help expand the rapidly growing church commitments to the people there. And so the Pope received Saint Willibald in order to get a sense of his devotion, and soon after told Willibald to go to assist Saint Boniface in Germania. Saint Willibald wished to go back to Monte Cassino, but understood and obeyed, and went to where Saint Boniface was. Saint Boniface ordained him a priest, and Saint Willibald's initial mission was in and around Bavaria. A year later, he became the first bishop of the new diocese of Eichstätt. During his times there in Germania, Saint Willibald helped found a double monastery at Heidenheim with brother Winebald. More about Saint Winebald's story in an upcoming podcast. Well, Saint Willibald was extremely humble, and he really did not want to become a bishop. But his diplomatic nature and the way he could handle situations between various challenges from the different pressures of a pilgrim church in Germania made him the perfect candidate for his role, and the church thrived. He favored the Benedictine rule like he had learned while at Monte Cassino. He was a fatherly figure and spent the last 40-plus years of his life caring for his flock among the Germans. He frequently fasted, and he outlived both his sister, Saint Valpurga, and brother Saint Winebald, passing around the age of 87 in the year 790. His tomb was the site of a number of miraculous healings. The people, once he passed on, believed him to be a saint almost at once, and he was recognized officially as a saint in the year 938 AD. His sister Saint Valpurga governed the nuns in this community, but on the passing of older brother Saint Winebald, governed the entire community. Saint Willibald's relics are still in the cathedral at Eichstätt. And there's more saints from this family coming up on Constant Procession. Till next week, I'm Nico Steves here. My book, The Very Fine Light, can be found using the title, The Very Fine Light, on Amazon.com. Please feel free to contact me at nicosteves.com. That's Nikos Steves, Steves.com. If you liked this episode, and for more, share them with friends. Well, this is Nico Steves. Thank you. See you next time.